Hey, I hope you're doing well. All right, let's talk about Djokovic versus Alcaraz in the Wimbledon final. So, I rarely get to watch tennis. I'm just too busy with work, with family, with my own tennis. I just really don't make time for it. But I watched every point of that finals match because I could tell going in it could potentially be one of those like greatest of all time kind of matches. I was definitely not disappointed. Very, very grateful that I had the chance to be able to make the time to watch the entire match. And there's one takeaway in particular that I just left watching that match feeling like was the biggest and the most applicable to us, to you, to me, normal everyday players. Over the last 15 years, has it been 15 years now? 13? Yeah, 15, almost 15. 15 years making content. One question has come up from the audience again and again and again. So much so that I've done a podcast episode dedicated to it. I've made videos dedicated to it. And that question, it comes in different flavors, but is essentially, how do I keep big ebbs and flows happening in my matches? It usually goes something like this. So it was one of two. Either the player says, I'm a really slow starter. My opponent always gets off to a faster start than me. And I usually get my momentum, but it takes me a while. Or the person says, I always start off super hot, and then I have a big drop off in the second set. So I almost always start off better than my opponent, but then they figure some stuff out. I lose my momentum a little bit, and in the second set, usually things like shift. In both cases, the players are asking me, how do I stop this? How do I keep this from happening? Give me the thing to focus on that will keep the match like going like this. And honestly, so there are some things you can do. Like a lot of times players do have a kind of a habit of they get out to a lead and they take their foot off the gas. They get out to a lead and they relax and they start thinking about the finish line. And so like just to be clear, like there are some practical things there, especially if you have a very strong pattern of being let down later in the first set or beginning of the second set or whatever. There are some things you can do to improve your focus. But look at this. I'm looking at the scores right now. So Alcaraz is the number one seed, and Djokovic, like on paper, is the favorite. But a lot of people, called Alcaraz to obviously do really well, maybe even win. He wasn't the favorite, but a lot of people had very high hopes for him. He loses the first set 6-1. He gets a breadstick in the first set. Not even close that first set. They had some good exchanges and stuff, but like on the scoreboard, Alcaraz, it'd be very tempting for him to be like, "Whoa, geez," like be shell shocked after the first set and be like, "What the hell's going on? This is not the way I envisioned this. This is not the way this is supposed to be happening." Djokovic, on the other hand, easily wins the first set. Looks like, yep, this is why he's the favorite. Like this is why he's won so many matches in a row on this particular court. This is why he's won however many Wimbledons. What was it, 6 in a row or something like that? And it looked like, yep, all right, this is like that storyline. It's just going to play out. And then Djokovic loses the second set and the third set, and he gets breadsticked himself in the third set. You got to keep in mind that this is the first time either of these players have been beat 6-1. I don't know the stat. Like I don't know. But probably in a really long time. These guys have both just been dominating people match after match after match for a long time. Neither one of them has received a 6-1 down set in probably months, maybe years. And so how did they deal? That actually happened to like two of the best players ever, probably Alcaraz, like we'll see, like penned in his career, but very potentially like two of the best players like of all time. They both took a breadstick in this match and both swung the next set and came back and won the next set. I guarantee you neither of them is sitting there on their chair at a changeover at the end of that 6-1 set going, what's wrong with me? Like why is this going so bad? Like what do I need to change? Like now, of course, they're constantly trying to optimize. They're trying to play their best tennis mentally, physically, tactically, and technically. They're trying to constantly put out their best possible shot. But I promise you that for them, this is just the fight. This is just tennis. This is the battle. There's ups and downs. There's ebbs and flows. You win some, I win some. That's what makes up a great game or a great sport. The final, let's see if I can find this really quick. Let's see. Wimbledon, this is an incredible stat. Wimbledon final total points. How did it not come up right away? How many? It was a spread of two. It was like 258 to 256 or something like that. Let me see if I can find it for you really quickly. So it's like, of course, there's going to be ebbs and flows, but within the bigger picture, I'm not finding it immediately. But it was a 2 point spread. I didn't anticipate I was going to be talking about that. 2 point spread after like a 4-hour match, 2 point difference. But in a micro sense, like in a 10-minute chunk of time, or a 15 or 20 or maybe even 30-minute chunk of time, the match looks like this. But big picture, the match looks like this. And so you have to have the right perspective and outlook and all like expectation that in a 5-minute or 10-minute chunk of time, this is totally normal for tennis. Even a 30, well, on this stage, a 30-minute chunk of time doing this, going back and forth and having big momentum shifts, it's part of the game. And if every 5 minutes you're freaking out because the momentum's going one way or the other, it's going to be really hard to play your best tennis. So just keep in mind, just please remember that even these players, some of the best players that have ever played the game, have big ups and downs throughout the course of a match. And that's normal. There's nothing you can do to completely insulate yourself from that. It's just part of the mental challenge. And you have to be able to roll with the punches. You have to be able to stay focused when you're way up and everything's going your way. And you have to also maintain high focus when it's the opposite. And your opponent has all the momentum and nothing's going your way. And this is part of why it's so fantastic to watch a match like that and just see in real time, how are they going to deal with this? How are they going to roll with these punches? Because the punches can be big and the disappointments can be huge. And that's when you find out what you're really made of. Like that's when you find out like how well you've really prepared yourself mentally, is can you just deal with those big disappointments, the big triumphs, but stay, just keep going to work and just keep putting in the reps, point after point after point. That's a huge challenge. This is part of tennis, and it's a huge challenge in life as well. Big reason why we love tennis so much. So hopefully you got something out of that. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you again soon.